And we are now live. Again, thank you for coming. So for those of you online, I just want to let you know that we do have the information on our website in case you are interested. So if you are at home, if you go to our City to Pere website, if you go and click on the projects, which I'm going to do quickly here, and then I'll make some introductions. And if you come down, you'll see 2024 Lawrence Drive construction. If you click on that, we have all the information from today's meeting. The handout is there, the presentation, and any exhibits that we may be talking off of today. So that information will be available to you if you want to grab it at any time. So with that, I'm going to get the PowerPoint called up and make introductions. So who we have here is we have Chuck Carroll and Angie Kerrigan from Mead & Hunt. They're the design consultants that are working on this project. We also have Scott Thorson, the Director of Public Works, Chase Kufel, the Assistant City Engineer, and me, I'm Eric Rakers, the City Engineer. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Chuck to start the presentation. And, if you have any questions, you can type them in. Chase is monitoring comments. After the meeting, any questions, we'll open it up and try to address any of those that you may have on the project. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to you, Chuck.
Okay, thanks, Eric. Go next slide there. Here's an outline of the presentation that we'll be going through here this afternoon and that. And this is just a slide that shows our project team, beginning with Scott and Eric at the city. The project is being funded by the Wisconsin DOT's local program, so they'll have a local PM involved with the project also. And then us at Mead & Hunt are doing the design, all the design plans, environmental investigations for the city with this project. So the location of the project, we start about 525 feet south of Employers and Fortune. Down there, we go for a half mile up to the roundabout. So it's about a half mile in length for the project. Traffic in 2018 was 9,700 vehicles per day. And our forecast for the design year out in 2044 is 10,700 vehicles per day with 8% trucks. Here's the project timeline, the schedule for the project. And right now, construction is officially still scheduled in 2025, but we're preparing all the plans to build it in 2024 because there's another project in 2025 that will reconstruct the intersection of South Bridge Road and Lawrence Drive, and we don't want to have both of them under construction at the same time. So we're working to get our plans and stuff done so that we can build this in 2024. This is just zoomed in of where we're at right now, a little bit closer detail. We started work on the project last summer, and then in the fall we did all of our field data collection, we called it. And then in the winter here, we've been working on alternatives, and now we're here tonight for the public involvement meeting. And then after the public involvement meeting and the comment period, there is in the handout a comment form that we'd ask if you have comments to send them back to the city here, to Eric or to Scott by March 13th, so we can incorporate those into the environmental document, which we want to wrap up by the spring here coming up in the next few months. And then this summer, complete our plans so that we can let the project in January of 24 for construction in all of 24, then April, October of 24. So what is the need for the project? The primary need is to address the existing pavement condition, which there's a few snapshots here of what's out there. The original pavement was constructed in 1986. So the purpose of the project, on the next slide here, Eric, the purpose is really to address the pavement condition. So we're evaluating in the environmental document two different types of projects. One is called a rehab project. And basically what that is just repairing the concrete that's out there with patches, no changes to the lane configuration geometry. So that's kind of like the base condition for the environmental analysis. The second type of project is what we call a reconstruction scope. And what that involves is the complete replacement of all the concrete pavement. It also provides then opportunities to improve the pedestrian accommodations, the bike accommodations, and new street lighting with the reconstruction versus with the rehab scope. So the next slide here shows the proposed typical section for the reconstruction scope will provide a two-way left turn lane in the median there. And then we'll have on-street bike lanes on both sides of the roadway, and then one lane in each direction for traffic to travel. And then along with the reconstruction, we'll be bringing all the curb ramps and the sidewalk into compliance with the ADA standards, and then also replacing all the street lighting out there with the project. We will maintain the on-street parking up at the preserve park, but we'll have some slight modifications there that I'll talk about coming up in a few slides, but we'll still have the parking where the preserve park and trail crossing is. So the next slide, I know it's hard to see on here in the exhibits. We can zoom in on them in that, but in the PowerPoint here, it's hard to see. So the project starts in that picture in the lower left, right where the existing two-way left turn lane section ends. So right at the joint there, that's looking north from right there where the mouse is. And then as we go north with the two-lane section, we'll develop a northbound left turn lane to go on to Employers. And then opposing it in the southbound direction would be the southbound left turn lane to go on to Fortune. And then as you continue north up the road around the curve, we lose the southbound left turn, and we got it back to the two-way left turn for all the driveways as you go north up the road. And then as just getting towards the upper end of the screen there is where the parking starts. And then the next slide shows kind of a zoomed in of where the trail crossing is. So with the trail crossing, the proposal is to, in the middle of the two-way left turn lane, is to put a refuge island for the pedestrians that are using the trail in there in the median. Then we'll have the lower right picture is the trail crossing today. And then the plan view is kind of what's proposed there. We would be adding what you see up in the upper right is that rectangular rapid flashing beacon sign for the pedestrians to use that are crossing the trail, and also to warn the traffic that there's people crossing there. So with the refuge island right there, you'll see on the east side or the bottom half of the picture there's kind of that all hatched area a little bit along behind the back of curb. That's to, actually it starts at the driveway and goes around the curve there, Eric. That's paved terrace for multiple curb and paved terrace for trucks to track as they enter and leave the driveways there with the refuge island. It's maneuverable, but it's tight. And so the grass terrace doesn't get all tore up. That'll be like a truck apron that you see at a roundabout. Then with the trail there, we do have a slight shift in the parking or the parking on the west side there. North of the trail, the parking is shifted 15 feet to the north because state statutes say you can't park within 15 feet of a crosswalk. So we shifted the parking 15 feet to the north. You have the same amount of parking that's out there today. It'll just be shifted to the north. Then south of the trail crossing, the one stall in there between the driveway and the trail, we're shifting that to the south end of the parking to improve the vision for people exiting from Bellin, because right now you have two lanes and you can see a little bit, but now with the refuge island there and only one lane in the future, we didn't want to have a car parked in that one stall that blocked the vision and cause a crash. So we're moving that stall down to open up the vision for people that leave Bellin. And that, so let's see. Yeah, that's all the highlights for the trail crossing there. Then the next slide, we have two options on the north end here, north of the trail crossing. We call them option 1 and option 2, or alternative 1, alternative 2. And the real difference is how the two southbound lanes that come out of the roundabout are handled. That's the difference between the two. Northbound is all the same in both alternatives. So this first one here, option one, what we have here is the outside southbound lane is the lane that drops. The inside southbound lane continues on down through there. And so the outside lane drops between the driveway to the bank and the driveway to the Festival Foods office building, drops in there. And then we also relocate the current bike ramp that's coming off of the roundabout. We move that down south of the bank driveway there. And then we develop kind of a protected marked bike lane at that point. The curb line at the Festival Foods driveway stays in the same spot, so we're not moving the road to the west at all. The other thing we're doing is we extend the splitter island more to the south to prevent vehicles from making turns that they shouldn't be making. There's been crashes there, so that will prevent a northbound car to make a left into the bank in front of the median, or for somebody coming out to make a quick U-turn to go north from there, because we have had crashes there. And so the benefits of this one are it gets all the southbound traffic into one lane before the Festival Food driveway. It provides storage in the two-way left turn lane for northbound lefts into the driveway and people coming out of the driveway to turn left to go northbound. At certain times of the day, it's almost impossible to get out of there and people take risk. And so this will let them have, they can cross the southbound, get in the two-way left turn lane, and then when there's a gap, continue north. The two-way left turn lane section also promotes slower speeds. It just feels a little bit tighter and people tend to slow down. And this option here compared to the next one, there's less rework of the existing pavement up by the bank driveway in the southbound direction in that. So the next slide shows the option two, which, as I said, the only real difference between them is how the southbound lanes are addressed. In option two, the inside southbound lane is the one that drops and merges into the outside lane. In this one, the marked bike lane begins right at the existing bike ramp. And why we're doing that in this option is we're giving a little bit extra pavement where the merge is taking place for the two lanes to merge in case somebody doesn't let the other person in there where the lanes are merged. And so we got 6 extra feet of pavement and that. But this requires the southbound right turn lane to be reconstructed into the bank driveway, so that gets pushed into the terrace a few feet there. Excuse me, again, the curb line at the Festival Foods driveway stays right where it is today, so we're not moving west. We still extend the splitter island farther to the south to prevent those moves that aren't supposed to be being made today, but they are. And then the northbound direction all stays the same in both of these alternatives. If you're driving up from the south, you're already in one lane. We keep them in that one northbound lane until we get past the Festival Foods driveway and that middle driveway to the K&K complex. And then it flares out like you're approaching a roundabout with more than one entry, like you see in areas where you got a 2-lane roadway coming up to a multi-lane roundabout. You flare out to develop your lanes at the roundabout. Again, it has the same benefits as the other one. It gets all the traffic into one lane southbound between the bank and before all the conflicts that happen at the Festival Foods driveway. It provides that storage in the median for northbound lefts into Festival Foods complex there and the businesses there. And it also provides storage for the people exiting from that to find a gap in the northbound direction. And again, the two-way left turn lane section promotes a slower speed through here which will also help with safety then. So then the next steps on the next slide there, here's where we're at tonight. We're here at the public involvement meeting. We ask that if you have comments, you can email them to the city, and there's addresses in the handouts, and also coming up on a slide here in a few minutes. You can email them in, or if you print out the handout at home, you can write it up by hand and drop it in the mail to the city here. We want to get the environmental document approved this spring and then move into final design. And then if all goes as planned and the project gets funding for construction in 24, we'll let the project in January and construction will begin then probably in about April. Right now, the cost estimate is between 2.5 and $3 million for the project. And then, as Eric has up here on how to stay informed, he already showed you the website here, but here's the address. It's probably a little bit easier doing the way he did than typing in this the cryptic address that comes off of the internet. But you go out there, you can get all the exhibits, and the presentation here tonight is out there with that. And then the last slide here is just the contacts for Eric at the city and for Scott with their emails and phone numbers. And we would appreciate the comments that you have. Email them into one of those two, and we'll review them and incorporate them into the environmental document and the project and that. So with that, opening up for questions from the audience here or online. However you want to do it, Eric.
So I guess we'll start. Anybody in the audience here have any questions, anything to go over in general terms? I mean, if you have something specific that you want to talk to us after, we're more than happy to look at specifics, but if you have any general questions you'd like us to go over now? So, okay. Anybody online, anything you'd like to go over? Any questions you have?
Construction.
I'm not hearing any, but just to, I see, just to kind of reiterate what we talked about with the city website, if you're, for those of you even here in the office, if you start on the City of De Pere webpage and you go to, I'm sorry, I'm running around here, you go to projects and click on projects. Something like that. Come on. It usually works. It worked at the beginning. For those of you who are online, it worked at the beginning. Okay, so under projects, you go under projects, you'll see 2024 Lawrence Drive construction.
I found it.
And if you drill into that, all the information is there. And then if you want to share this information, this meeting with anyone, we should have it posted in the next, by the end of the day, Monday, it should be posted. So we'll have it up then if you want to share it with anyone, and anyone else who has any questions, or you can contact us. So if there aren't any questions online, Chase, any questions that came up on the chat? All right. Otherwise, I'm going to end the recording and probably end the go-to meeting portion of it. And again, anything comes up, we're more than happy to meet on the project and discuss it. And then please, like Chuck said, send in your comments. And you said by March 13th?
Correct.
Yeah, that would be tremendous. So any concerns, any thoughts, that would be tremendous. So I'm going to turn off the recording and